You know, I covered George Floyd's memorial service in Rayford, North Carolina 5 years ago. Thousands of people traveled here after watching him take his last breath in a nearly 9-minute video at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer. His death sparking a global conversation around the lack of police accountability and the black people that have been killed as a result. Today, his family says while justice was served, society still has a long way to go.
As a youngster, he always wanted to be famous. And we didn't know that he would get that kind of notoriety following his death.
I sat down with George Floyd's Uncle Roger inside the same Hoke County church where his memorial service was held in 2020. The setting bringing back memories and feelings of gratitude from the day Uncle Roger arrived for his nephew's service.
Roads, the streets were just aligned with a multitude of individuals of all races, ethnicities, just showing so much love to the family. And it was just a real warm feeling inside of feeling welcome in this space.
The murder of George Floyd catapulted the Floyd family into the global spotlight. Floyd's death sparking days of unrest in Minneapolis, Raleigh, and protests around the world. Uncle Roger watching the nearly 9-minute video of Officer Derek Chauvin's knee on his nephew's neck 3 times. Once for himself, a second time for his family, the final time for George, who he held for the first time as an infant.
My brother was so proud to have a son. Roger, man, got that boy. And he named him his namesake, George Perry Floyd Jr. And of course, we called him Perry Jr.
He says the family believes justice was served when Chauvin was sentenced in 2021 to 22.5 years in prison. A jury found Chauvin guilty of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Data analyzed by ABC News shows the number of deadly police encounters in the United States since George Floyd's murder in 2020 has increased by 38% compared to the previous 5 years. In fact, the number of victims killed by police during these types of incidents have risen every year for the last 5 years, mostly happening in urban counties. The number of people killed by police jumped for every race or ethnic group, but the largest increase has been with victims who identified as African American.
It's deeply rooted in race, justice, humanity, and power.
Ashley Campbell is a licensed marriage and family therapist associate. She launched RDU Black Therapists during the George Floyd movement, telling me she saw a dire need for mental health services in the community.
It wasn't only about witnessing death, it was about Black people confronting a painful truth that we live with every day, and that truth can definitely coincide with the question of how safe are we really?
She says 5 years after Floyd's death, people are still processing the video, something she believes led many African Americans to start therapy.
Black mental health became such a mainstream thing at that time because we were reliving some of those traumatic situations felt generations before.
And that trauma was felt personally and professionally. Floyd's death led to a racial reckoning in the summer of 2020. As a result, many companies launched and renewed their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. But 5 years later, many of these initiatives have now been rolled back. And holding law enforcement officers accountable still remains a challenge. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, a measure targeting racial bias and use of force, failed to pass in Congress. But the Floyd family is still determined to keep George's name alive.
We're hopeful change will come. And it needs to come sooner than later.